Hi, good afternoon, everyone. George Smith here from Augmentt, and I am delighted to be joined by Eric Torres, VP of Channel over at Scalepad. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, George?
I'm very well indeed. Yeah, it's just mid-November here in 2023. The snow isn't quite blowing in yet, but it's definitely getting miserable. And I think all our friends down in the States are just getting busy for Thanksgiving. Eric, I know it's a bit of a short week for you. Have you got any plans?
Uh, Food, football, and naps, repeatedly. So yeah, it's by far my favorite week of the year. I look forward to this more than anything else.
Yeah, the American dream: food, football, and naps. I love that. Okay. Well, guys, we're going to be straight into things here and kind of keep this short and sweet. The whole purpose of this webinar today is to just shed a little bit of light on an integration that Scalepad and Augmentt have. So, as folks may know, earlier this year, Scalepad acquired Lifecycle Insights, which is the basis of this integration between Augmentt and our Discover module and Lifecycle Insights. So, really, today, guys, if you're an existing Augmentt partner that's already maybe using Lifecycle Insights, it's an opportunity to get to learn a little bit more about Scalepad. And for any MSPs out there who are existing Scalepad customers, or maybe even Lifecycle Insight customers, and haven't yet activated that Augmentt integration, we just want to help explain and shed a little bit of light on what that is. So, Eric, maybe I can get you to kind of kick us off here and just kind of give a high-level overview of who Scalepad is, what you guys focus on, and then maybe get a bit more detail on Lifecycle Insights in particular.
Sure. Scalepad, we've been doing this now since 2015, so been around for quite a few years now, and we've been adding so many solutions and features and services under that Scalepad name, which eventually we had to rebrand to Scalepad. We started in the space as Warranty Master, but we've acquired 5 companies alone this year, which has been quite the undertaking. All independent of each other and different tool sets for MSPs to drive more revenue, drive better QBR conversations, better relationships with their partners, and all while automating as many tasks as possible. Earlier this year, we did acquire Lifecycle Insights. So the power of what we put together on full asset management and being able to deliver the QBR reports or technical business review reports that your clients deserve, using the power of both Lifecycle Manager, Lifecycle Insights, and truly driving more revenue for MSPs.
And would you say, Eric, a lot of the tools that you guys leverage at Scalepad, a huge amount of interesting data there available for MSPs. Are you guys beginning to see more and more MSPs showcase some of the IT metrics and data that maybe 5-10 years ago was kind of kept undercover, but now seeing that their customers not only have an understanding, but also a bit of a need to see what's going on, and so having some of that data is really helpful for sales conversations, for conversations with prospects? What are some of the things that you're seeing MSPs do a little bit differently when it comes to sharing IT information and data?
It's a fine line of oversharing numbers and also the scare tactics of doing it when you're talking about risk and potential pitfalls from that, and monetary pitfalls. But it is important to share some of those stats and to be quite frank with your clients and explain the risk of what's out there, and using numbers to further enhance that and truly get them to understand. Years back, we were MSPs, and my own days of being an ex-MSP, walking in, it felt like, we were running those reports, or it was a huge book, like a telephone book of reports, and we'd slam it on the desk and say, here's all the stuff I uncovered on your network, and here's a ton of information. And then our clients' eyes just kind of glazed over, and they were like, what are you even talking about? But now there's definitely been a shift over the past few years of using some of the tidbits of information, some of the stats that are out there, some of the monetary risks with downtime, and monetary risks of compliance, and even just licensing, and getting that all shored up, and being able to have those intelligent business forecasting conversations with the customers. That's what that business review meeting should be all about.
And in terms of that business review meeting, is Lifecycle Insights the main tool that Scalepad MSPs are using to help drive those conversations?
Yeah, definitely. There's two actual tools: Lifecycle Manager and Lifecycle Insights. Lifecycle Insights is one of the premier, if not the premier, tool for forecasting out and budgeting purposes. Like I said, the risk factors that are out there, and truly looking at an environment and a client's environment from in a forward-looking view, and saying, here's the risk today. Here's what I have planned for you in the next 3 months, 6 months, 2 years out from now. Here are the things that we should begin preparing for. On the lifecycle manager side, that's where our hooks go into all of the PSAs, the RMMs, all of the IT documentation, to bring in hardware and software asset management into that conversation. So the true power is both of them together. And then now with the integration we have with Augmentt, being able to bring in a lot more of that SaaS information, a lot more of those that data that you guys are gathering and presenting on in a nice, clean, easy way to have that conversation with clients.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Eric, about kind of differentiating insights. That's what it is. It's sharing those insights and kind of making your customers aware of some of those, things that are going to come up in the future, whether and from a cost or a risk perspective. And then the manager piece actually sort of, a suite of tools that helps MSPs go and do the things. So bringing it back to the Augmentt, for anyone who doesn't have any knowledge of Augmentt prior, we're 3 years old, so still relatively new to the channel space, but we're all about helping MSPs really strengthen their SaaS security and making it easier for MSPs to manage SaaS applications. And fundamentally today, a big part of that is to do with Microsoft 365. It's the #1 business application, but we do have a module called Discover. And in a nutshell, what Discover does is it sheds a spotlight on shadow IT. It's giving you, the MSP, a full list of all the SaaS applications that your clients are using across your entire IT estate. So it's multi-tenant, so you can have that kind of 560,000 view of everything, drill into tenant, and even get really granular by generating individual user reports. So if there's that pesky guy called Simon from sales at a particular customer who's always signing up to things he shouldn't be, you can actually highlight that in a specific report. And the beauty of our integration with Scalepad is that you can now pull in that information to set it against some of the other things that Eric was talking about. So, tying into those conversations around cost. So again, putting the SaaS lens on it. Mr. Customer, how many applications are you using? I guarantee they will always say less. On average, we're seeing most small to medium businesses have 3 times as many SaaS applications than what they think they're actually using. So if they say 12, it's probably going to be closer to 40. So first of all, identify redundant applications or duplicate applications. And because we can get granular with the user, you can actually start having really detailed conversations around usage as well. So for example, Mr. Customer, you've told me that Salesforce is really, really important for your business. Everyone should be using it. And that's why you've purchased 40 licenses. Whereas I can show you today that only 3 people on a regular basis are actually using Salesforce. So can we save you some money there on licenses? Also, you can see here that you've got Sugar, CRM, and HubSpot as well. So why are we actually paying for 3 tools that do the same thing? And then tie that back into maybe some of your cybersecurity offerings. People sometimes, don't have the money for enhanced cybersecurity costs. So if you can actually save them money on SaaS sprawl or other things, then that's a great opportunity for you to grow your own business by saving your customers money and then in turn taking those savings to add to your own pockets. And then of course the last one is productivity. Unfortunately, this is often where, being the fly on the wall in a lot of conversations, we see things end up. MSPs want to talk about risk. Business owners want to talk about cost. Whenever I've been in some of these conversations with SMBs, they're identifying, file sharing applications. They're talking about risky applications, and the CEO of that smaller company just wants to see who's sitting on Facebook. So, whilst we can share and see that, at least that's your kind of wedge to open that conversation. Okay, you want to see which of your employees are kind of skiving on social media all day? We can show you that. But maybe let's talk about this person who's using a North Korean file sharing application first of all, and drill into that too. And so again, through this integration, you can pull all that information into Scalepad's Lifecycle Insights and have those thorough kind of quarterly business review conversations. So, Eric, what's your kind of opinion on sort of SaaS management and shadow IT in general? Is that a space you see growing in your world as well?
Definitely growing. The thing that stands out to me is how much of that shadow IT is really out there. You mentioned it's roughly 3 times, but when sitting down with a business owner and it's kind of you're going to come up with more than what they think that they actually have in place. Every business owner is thinking, and even IT professionals for that matter are thinking, yeah, we've got 30 applications, but you didn't realize that you said Simon had downloaded all this stuff, and I used to be guilty of that. I was the one that was downloading that, and I mean we're busy people, George and I, and if I can try to save a few minutes here and there, I'm testing some software out. I'm playing with it. I'm going to see if it really does save me time. Before you know it, I'm guilty of that, installing tons of different applications that nobody else knows about, opening up that risk. So there's definitely more and more of that happening. It's not slowing down. And the key to it's not just uncovering it, but being able to assess the risk and explain. Your example of the North Korean file sharing, that's a lot more important, a lot more risk involved with that than somebody who's on Facebook. So it's bubbling up to the top of what we really need to look at and be concerned about. And then to your point earlier, the cost control. How can we keep the costs of what companies are paying for SaaS applications down and manageable and on top of, do we need to limit the amount of licenses, increase the amount of licenses? Is there a better option? Are we paying the best rates? That's all conversations as an expert on that network that you need to be having with your customers.
Yeah, I think you raised a really good point there, Eric, around people aren't signing up to various applications to be malicious. People just want to be better and good at their job. And in this day and age, it's so easy to do that. And that's kind of why one of the questions we get from MSPs is, well, this is interesting, but how do I monetize it? And so a simple kind of 1-2 punch away you can do that is one, charge for an audit. Actually ask those questions. How many SaaS applications are you guys using today? And charge a one-time fee to kind of go through that risk assessment with a really key lens over shadow IT. And the key thing is, as soon as you then take an action plan to remediate against some of that risk, so whether that's blocking particular applications, let's say, Eric, you are set up so that your company wants you to use Microsoft, but all of a sudden you've got G Drive. So they block G Drive. Turns out Eric doesn't actually really like using SharePoint and OneDrive, finds it a bit clunky, but now G Drive's blocked. So Eric, what do you do?
Go back to what's working for me.
Yeah, go find something else,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
maybe it's a Dropbox, maybe it's a box. And that's why these continuous monitoring scans are important, because as soon as you block one thing, there's always another another tool out there that's being popped up. The final thing I'll also say is that if someone's using a fairly innocuous tool like a Canva or something that you might not deem a security threat, one day maybe it gets hacked. Oh, well, none of my clients are using Canva. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Okay. Also, how do you know that they're not using the same credentials for an app like Canva or Dropbox that is their same corporate email address and password for some of those critical business applications like a QuickBooks or a Microsoft? So it's we're beginning to tie the pieces together in the channel slowly but surely. I think shadow IT is becoming more and more of a prevalent topic. And so there's no better time to start kind of getting your hands on this data and start putting it to your customers and seeing what their reactions are like. So with that in mind, guys, I wanted to make sure that everyone on the call and anyone viewing this video in the future is aware of the kind of integration promo that we have, whereby if you are a Scalepad customer who is using Lifecycle Insights, you can activate this integration for free, and Augmentt will provide you with 100 free licenses of Discover and set up that integration for you free of charge. So there's zero cost to you guys. All you need to do is hop on a call with us. We'll get things connected, and you can start pulling in that data straight into Lifecycle Insights and kind of adding another tab of data to your Lifecycle Insights. and Lifecycle Manager dashboards. So I'm just going to drop that into the chat now for anybody who does want to book one of those calls and actually check out Augmentt Discover in a little bit more detail, and we'll make that available in the on-demand recording as well.
And I think if I could just jump in, I think this is a must do for anybody that's tuning in today or in the recordings of this. I mean, the teams have gotten together and built this to make it pretty easy. I mean, and pulling that information is key in having those discussions. But everybody likes the price of being free, and your team helps walk you right through that process. But if you are a Lifecycle Insights partner, absolutely check out the power of being able to implement that right into your QBR strategy and have these intelligent, important conversations.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy man as ever and getting ready for Thanksgiving. So appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. And for everyone else who joined us on the call live, thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me directly, george.smith@augmentt.com, or you can ping me on LinkedIn as well. Eric, if anyone has any questions for you from over on the Augmentt side, or anyone's watching this, what's the best way to get in touch?
Sure. A super easy email address, et@scalepad.com, for whatever you need, whether that's Scalepad, some help on the Augmentt integration, or any of the other integrations and partnerships we have, et@scalepad.com.
Perfect. Thanks again, Eric, and thanks everyone. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks, Hank.